folks? Welcome to Market Technical Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com for November 9th, 2007. Well, Friday is over, and I can honestly say it was another exhausting week because of the dramatic moves in every which way of this market. And the overall sentiment this week was just ugly. There's no other word to describe it but ugly, folks. And we saw the NASDAQ closing down 68 points today after dropping huge amounts in prior days in this market. And that's 2.5% loss again on the NASDAQ. The Dow was down 223 points, or 1.69%, and the S&P was down about 1.4%, or 21 points. Now, the real story of today is the last hour of the day. Actually, you know what? Not even the last hour. It was the last half an hour. And I'm going to show you the charts here because this is where things got dramatic. And what you see here is the chart of the S&P minis. This is the ES mini December contract. But what I'm first going to focus in, this is the daily, what I'm first going to focus in on is the last half an hour. And I'm going to go to my trend tools to really delve into this. But here we are, we're selling hard, and the overall market really sold hard going into the open of this, all right? What we saw basically here is the NASDAQ and the S&P pre-market around 8 o'clock looked to open down around 30 points on the NASDAQ and a decent amount as well on the S&P, and the Dow down about 130 points. And this is what the futures were telling us. And this is basically where the market opened. And what you can see here is that that's where we did. Here's 9:30. We opened right around here, and we were underneath or right around that 20 moving average, as you can see the yellow line here. And what you're going to see here is we had an initial sell-off, but it was a very choppy market. We sold down, we sold up, we sold down, we sold up, we sold down. And notice here, again, we got above that 20, we bounced higher, but then again, the selling just came right back in. We closed below the 20, and we sold off more. And you can really see how the effect of this market was. We basically, the second you closed below the moving average here, you got another leg down, but that was pretty much it. Then you move back up, and just back and forth all day long. Here you got above the 20 moving average, you got to move up. Here you got to move down, bounced off the 20 moving average, and then skyrocketed back up to new highs here in the near term. And then again, it bounced back around this 20 moving average. Now, later in the day, everyone was expecting a rally because you know what? Yesterday we had it. Almost every day over the past 3 weeks we had it. And we did get a rally starting around 1:30 about 2:30 today. I would say around 2:30 we got a rally. And this is the rally here. And it was a very nice rally, no doubt about it. The NASDAQ was down about 50 points. Before we knew it, it was down about 28. And one thing we mentioned in the chat room was, we said, this is a little early. Usually you want to see the 3:30 rally, the 3 o'clock rally. A little early for the rally here, and we'll see if it runs out of steam. And oh, did it run out of steam. Here we are, topping out right here. You get a bearish candle, topping candle right here, closed down in this area, and the selling just started. The last half an hour of the day, some of the hardest selling all day. Look at the volume candles over here. All right, especially this one right here. Huge selling, and this we basically, the market makers and the big players in this market, they caught every amateur long off guard because every amateur long was buying into this rally right here. They're all buying thinking, well, it happened yesterday, why won't it happen today? We'll rally right into the close, okay. And they got everyone going long there, or every amateur, obviously not us in the chat room because we were wise to this whole scheme, or at least we assumed that this would happen, and we could see it happening, especially because you have a lot of players not wanting to hold long into the weekend. All right, let's not hold long. Who knows what happens over the weekend? We maybe gap down another large amount on Monday. So they're all selling, and all the amateurs are buying here, and then you get this drop. Oh man, what a drop. We basically were here at this point at the highs of the day on the NASDAQ, and I'll show you the NASDAQ chart in a minute. This is the ES futures, and the high of the day at the ES futures here as well, and you basically sold off to the lows down here, okay? Basically came down, made a triple bottom. Note the triple bottom here, all right? And that's where we closed, right at the lows of the day. Dramatic sell-off any way you cut it. QID, which we've been talking about for days as being a buy here, a dramatic rally into the close, and I just want to show you this. This is an ETF. This is basically an ETF here, folks. 2 times short the NASDAQ, and look at the move it's had. You don't get moves on ETFs like that very often, folks. And dramatic move. Basically, our entry back a few days ago, last week, I think it was late last week, was we were in around $34.48. It got to almost $41 today. A dramatic move. Now, I do expect a bounce next week at some point. I don't know if we gap down on Monday. I don't know if we, rally right out of the gates and gap up. I don't know. You're going to have a lot of players that sold into the weekend. If everything is kosher or everything is fine going into Monday, they might buy initially or start to push this market up after a dramatic sell-off. Or we might gap down with more panic. There could be bad news that comes out Monday morning. I don't know. I'm sure the Asian markets are going to take it on the chin a little Sunday night, and that could cause us to gap down. But long story short, whatever the market does on Monday, I do think that we're getting a little near-term oversold. I do think the Nasdaq has more to go on the downside, but nothing goes straight down or straight up. And you're going to always see little pullbacks, just like here. Here the market was up here, pulled back, you had a little bounce, and then another leg down. Another bounce up, another move down. Another bounce up, another move down, and so forth. And so you got to expect that even though you're going to have moves like that, you're going to have moves down hard, then a bounce, down hard, then a bounce, and so forth. So just be aware of that, is that who knows what happens Monday at the open, but come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there should be a day or two where we have a sideways to up market, where the market kind of calms down. People think things are cheap out there, and they come in and buy. And especially when you're seeing Apple and Baidu, Apple down $10 today. Look at this chart on Apple. Now, this is a huge cap company. Look, I would not be shocked to see it touch this 50 moving average on Apple. That would not shock me one bit come Monday. That would be a fair support area right there, and I think it might be for a bounce at that point once it hits there. On Google, another look at this drop here. Now, granted, look at this rise. So this is not. It's not that this is unexpected. Anyone who was buying Google up here, in this area is insane. Anywhere in this area right here is absolutely insane. You can't pay up on something that hasn't touched the 20 moving average in a couple months. And here, finally, we touched it. We broke below today, and we'll see where we go on Monday. But, again, it wouldn't shock me to see at some point next week a small bounce in this market before another leg possibly down. And we'll reevaluate the technicals, but the technicals are showing. Look at the stochastics now. Look at the fall in the stochastics right here. Just a dead drop off a cliff here. So you're going to get a little bounce there to get those stochastics back up before the next fall at some point. And again, keep in mind, guys, I always say this in every video, but it's so important. Consult your financial advisor. Don't be crazy. Don't follow what I say. Never follow what I say. Just, use it as an entertainment, like a soap opera on TV or a comedy. If you laugh at me, then that's great. Yeah, that's comedy. All right, never take it for reality, okay? So in any case, folks, looking over this market again, let's look at the Nasdaq, and I'll go to the intraday chart, and you can see the sell-off here. And what was interesting about this is that we had actually consolidated here above the 50 moving average. And this is very rare because you see the little tail here? This is so key here. You see a little tail. It could not get above. It closed back down, and that's when the selling ensued in the last half an hour. And you got this dramatic drop right down here. The Nasdaq on the daily, just an ultimate M pattern formation, and I'll go over that again. I'm going to erase it for now, but you have this type of fall, and this is just ugly. I mean, when you see it's like literally a cliff. We might actually have to come down and touch this 200 on the Nasdaq. It's very possible. All right, we've basically taken out all support areas in this range. Although I do at some point expect a bounce, and whether or not we hit this first and then bounce, I don't know. Anything's possible, but I'd move down here and I would feel a little more comfortable about buying something here on a falling knife pattern. And falling knives are extremely dangerous to buy, but at some point I do feel like we will bounce up. You have this big gap in the chart now from here to here. All right, well, even lower, you can even look at it from here to here possibly. But at some point, I would not be surprised if the bounce takes us to fill this gap. But again, there's a lot of downside potential here. We have had a monster run in the Nasdaq. And I just want to show you the weekly chart here on the Nasdaq to give you a sense here. All right, look at this move from here. You're going back to 2006 here. This is a weekly chart on the Nasdaq. So you've had a dramatic run here. And what I do want to point out here, folks, is that you have a trend line here, from here to here to here in this area of consolidation, and we punctured it, but the question is, do we bounce? We actually closed below the 20 moving average. Now, should this market come down, I think that it'll worst case, wow, if we came down to this moving average here, the 50 moving average, that would be quite something. That would be a dramatic fall, but anything is possible. But again, expect a little bounce. All right, I just don't want people, people being stupid about this. Or I should speak from my point of view. I don't want me to be stupid about this and think the market's going to collapse. It might collapse, it might not. But at this point, a lot of the downside is out of the market. You can't expect it to drop. It might. And again, I say it can't expect, meaning you can't assume. You just can't assume it will. So be a little careful there in that range. What else we have here? Let's go back to the daily chart here on the Nasdaq. But again, you see on the weekly that's a dramatic weekly fall, folks. No doubt about it. All right. And just to go over some odds and ends, again, chat room great, swing trade alerts great, going well. Even in a day like this in the chat room, we still made money, and that's all that matters. All right, so you take it any way you can, and in this type of market, we do our best, and we still come out profitable, which is a wonderful thing. All in all, again, should be a very, very interesting week next week. If this market continues to get hammered, I would not put it out of reach that the Fed comes in and saves us at some point or something happens. All right, maybe the dollar finds a bottom and bounces. Maybe oil retreats, or maybe oil hits 100 next week. There's a lot of potential possible saviors for this market and a lot of potential catastrophes. But the one thing that everyone should do is come join the chat room, come join the swing trade alerts, come join the options on inthemoneystocks.com. That's inthemoneystocks.com. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. I know I need a little rest after this wild week, and we'll talk to you next week. Talk to you soon. Bye.